She said, "This is my room, there's only one bed." I replied, "Maybe we can share it." Its sleek silver hull reflected the light of a distant sun, and inside, the crew prepared for humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. Captain Adrian Cole, a young and sharp-eyed explorer, stood in the observation deck, watching the swirling blues and greens of the planet below. "Isn't it beautiful?" Lieutenant Harris said, joining him. "Almost like a marble, but alive." Adrian nodded, a quiet excitement in his chest. Humanity had dreamed of this day for generations, and now it was real. The planet, designated Urandor 7, had breathable air, oceans, and signs of intelligent life. Their mission was simple in words but complex in reality: establish contact, learn, and return safely. The landing was smooth, the ship descending into a clearing near a city unlike anything humans had ever seen. Towers of crystalline structures shimmered in the sunlight, and bridges of light arched between them. But what caught Adrian's attention was the energy radiating from the beings moving inside those towers. They were tall, slender, and luminous, their skin shifting colors like living prisms. Every movement carried grace, and every gesture seemed deliberate. "Remember," Harris said quietly, "they might not even recognize us as sentient. Be careful." Adrian exhaled slowly. "Careful, yes, but let's not forget why we're here. Observation and communication first, and maybe a little charm." He smiled, though he knew charm had never been officially listed as a skill for interstellar diplomacy. The crew disembarked, greeted by silence and cautious curiosity. From a distance, the aliens watched them, their many eyes reflecting a soft light. One figure separated from the group, approaching slowly. Adrian instinctively straightened. She stopped a few meters away. Her color shifted to a calm green, a sign of attentiveness, Adrian guessed. Her limbs moved elegantly, but she carried an air of command. Adrian noticed a small device strapped to her forearm, delicate yet complex, and wondered instantly how it worked. "Greetings," Adrian said, lifting a hand in the universal gesture of peace. The alien tilted her head slightly, then spoke. The sound was musical, layered with harmonics that made the air vibrate gently. A translator device in Adrian's uniform rendered it into English almost immediately. "This is Lyra. I am assigned to assist you." Adrian offered a confident nod. "Captain Adrian Cole, humanity's envoy, it's a pleasure." Lyra's color shifted again, a faint shimmer of curiosity. She gestured to the settlement behind her. "You will live here. Your quarters are prepared." Adrian glanced at the structure. Unlike the sprawling human habitats he was used to, it was compact and efficient. A single, small room glimmered inside the crystalline building. "A room, yes," Adrian said with a hint of amusement. "I can handle that." Lyra's next words caught him slightly off guard. "This is my room. There is only one bed." Adrian froze for a moment. He knew this was not a personal boundary the way humans might think. But the phrasing was peculiar. He smiled, deciding to take it lightly. "Maybe we can share it," he said, raising an eyebrow. Lyra's color shifted sharply, vivid red, the alien sign of surprise. She did not speak, only tilted her head, studying him. Adrian held her gaze, letting a small human smile soften the tension. "It is unusual," she finally said, her voice melodic but cautious. "Humans have strange ways." "Strange, maybe," Adrian admitted. "But we adapt fast, sharing a bed. We'll figure it out." "Efficient use of space, right?" She blinked slowly, then turned and led him into the room. The interior was astonishing. Despite its small size, it was filled with devices and gadgets Adrian could barely comprehend. Holographic screens hovered in midair, and a faint hum of energy pulsed from the walls. There was a single sleeping platform at one end, its surface glowing softly. Adrian stepped in, feeling both intrigued and slightly overwhelmed. "Wow, you live like this." "Efficient, compact, and full of tech." Lyra nodded. "Efficiency is necessary. Space is not wasted. Everything has purpose." Adrian's eyes scanned the room. He could see that every item was placed with precision, almost as if the room itself had a personality. The bed, glowing gently, seemed too pristine for casual use. Adrian suppressed a chuckle. "Well, I suppose we'll have to be careful then." Lyra gave him a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Humans are careless." "I'll take that as a challenge," Adrian said. "I like challenges." They spent the next hour unpacking. Adrian tried to place his belongings efficiently, but Lyra's gaze followed him closely, occasionally adjusting a small device on the wall to accommodate his things. Every motion seemed deliberate, yet oddly graceful. "You humans have an odd sense of space," she observed finally. "You create disorder but adapt easily." "That's not entirely wrong," Adrian said with a grin. "We're messy but we get results." Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "Perhaps this will be acceptable." By evening, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the crystalline city. Adrian and Lyra stood by the single glowing bed, looking out a window at the alien skyline. Adrian could see why Lyra valued precision. The city was beautiful but fragile, as if one wrong step could disrupt everything. "Do you always live alone?" he asked cautiously. "Alone is efficient," she replied. "Company can be distracting." Adrian nodded, thinking about human homes filled with laughter, chaos, and family. "Humans don't always live efficiently," he said softly, "but we survive. Sometimes that's enough." Lyra's color shifted to a pale green, a subtle sign of consideration. Adrian smiled inwardly. Humans did more than survive. They adapted, improvised, and sometimes charmed their way through impossible situations. As night settled, Adrian prepared to sleep on a small, portable cot beside the glowing platform. Lyra observed quietly, her eyes reflecting a faint curiosity. She didn't understand humans yet, but she would. They had a way of surprising even the most logical minds. Adrian lay down, staring at the ceiling of his alien room. The stars above seemed closer than ever. He thought of the mission, the planet, and the alien before him. A strange excitement grew inside him. Sharing a room, sharing space, sharing ideas. It was nothing he hadn't faced before. But here, on a distant world, it meant more. It meant bridging species, proving humanity's worth, and maybe, just maybe, making a friend in the most unexpected way. Lyra finally moved to the bed, her presence calm but commanding. Adrian adjusted his cot, determined to make the best of the unusual situation. As he drifted into sleep, he smiled. Humans had a reputation for being clever, resourceful, and sometimes annoyingly persistent. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Contact, learning, cooperation. And in the quiet of the glowing room, Adrian realized that maybe the bed wasn't just a bed. It was a symbol. A small space, shared, where two very different beings could find common ground. And Adrian, human to the core, couldn't wait to show Lyra just how adaptable humans could be. The next morning, the light of Erendor 7 bathed the crystalline city in a soft glow. Adrian awoke on his small cot, stretching stiffly. The alien room felt smaller in the daylight, but it no longer intimidated him. Across the glowing bed, Lyra sat on a floating platform, observing a series of holographic screens. Her color shifted between soft blue and green, a sign Adrian had learned meant calm focus. "Good morning," he said, trying to sound cheerful. "Sleep well," Lyra tilted her head. "Humans appear to require more rest than is efficient," Adrian chuckled. "We like sleep, helps us think better and dream." She blinked slowly. "Dream." "Stories the mind tells when the body rests," Adrian explained. "Sometimes useful, sometimes not." Lyra considered this. "I will observe." Breakfast in the alien settlement was an unusual affair. The dining hall floated above the city on a translucent platform, and meals were synthesized from local plant matter and nutrients. Lyra demonstrated a series of gestures, and soon small dishes appeared before them, glowing softly. Adrian picked up a fork-like tool, examining it carefully. Here, Lyra said, you eat this way. She demonstrated, carefully picking up a small, luminescent cube. Efficiency. Adrian mimicked her, trying not to drop the cube. It was slightly sticky but surprisingly flavorful. Tastes interesting, he admitted. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Interesting? You could say it awakens the senses, Adrian smiled. Humans are adaptable. We find enjoyment even in new things. Lyra's color shifted slightly toward pale green. She nodded, as if approving of his attitude. After breakfast, the crew gathered in a wide chamber filled with alien instruments and machines. Lyra led Adrian through the protocols of communication. The aliens of Erendor 7 did not rely on spoken words alone. They communicated with gestures, color shifts, and harmonic vibrations. Humans, of course, relied on speech. This will be challenging, Adrian muttered. Humans are curious, Lyra said. You observe and adapt. Adrian grinned. Curious and clever, we solve problems. Their first task was to repair a minor energy fluctuation in the city's power grid. The aliens had sophisticated systems, but even the most advanced technology could fail. Adrian watched Lyra work with her precise movements, connecting circuits and aligning energy nodes with ease. When a panel flickered, Adrian instinctively reached out and touched a connector. Sparks danced briefly, but he had guessed correctly. The panel stabilized. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. You guessed. Yes, Adrian replied. Humans use intuition, experience. Sometimes rules are not enough. She studied him for a long moment as if seeing something new in human nature. Your species is unpredictable. And adaptable, Adrian added with a smile. We improvise. That's how we survive. The day passed in a blur of learning and cooperation. Adrian observed how humans and aliens approached problems differently. Where Lyra sought precision and efficiency, Adrian sought possibilities and solutions, even when they seemed unorthodox. When a device malfunctioned, Adrian rigged a temporary fix using human improvisation. Lyra's eyes followed his every movement, shifting colors in fascination and caution. During a break, they returned to the small shared room. Adrian spread out a few human tools he had carried with him. Lyra peered at them curiously. These items primitive, she said, examining a multi-tool. Primitive, yes, but practical, Adrian replied. Humans make tools to solve immediate problems. Sometimes simpler is better. Lyra tilted her head. Perhaps this is why you survive, Adrian smiled. Exactly. A sudden alert interrupted their conversation. The city's central energy conduit had become unstable. The lights flickered, and the hum of power rose and fell unnaturally. Adrian and Lyra raced to the control chamber. The conduit was a twisting lattice of energy, glowing like liquid light. An alien engineer hovered above it, clearly distressed. Adrian studied the readings. Looks like an overload. Can we stabilize it manually? Lyra nodded. Yes, but precision is required. One wrong move could disrupt the grid. Adrian glanced at her, then at the floating energy strands. I have an idea. We combine your precision with human improvisation. Lyra's eyes narrowed, then shifted to a cautious green. Explain. Adrian pulled out a small human device, a portable energy regulator. He suggested a method to bypass the unstable node temporarily, while Lyra carefully realigned the main conduits. The alien engineer watched in amazement as two species worked together. Minutes later, the conduit stabilized. The lights returned to a soft glow and the hum of the city normalized. Lyra stepped back, her color shifting to a calm blue. I did not expect your method to succeed. Adrian shrugged modestly. Humans are resourceful. We make do with what we have. Lyra's expression softened. Perhaps your species is not as reckless as I assumed. Evening arrived and Adrian and Lyra returned to their room. The small bed glowed softly, filling the space with warmth. Adrian set his tools aside, feeling the strain of the day. Lyra watched him quietly, her body color shifting with subtle curiosity. "You humans seem fearless," she said softly. "Even in unfamiliar situations, you act decisively." Adrian chuckled. "Maybe. Or maybe we just have to survive. Either way, we adapt. That's what makes us human." She tilted her head, considering his words. "Adaptation, efficiency. You combine both." "Yes," Adrian said. "We improvise, we solve problems, we survive. And sometimes we make things work in ways no one expects." For the first time, Lyra's expression seemed almost warm, though she would never call it that. She moved closer to the glowing bed, adjusting a floating panel. "Perhaps sharing this space is tolerable." Adrian grinned. "Tolerable, I'll take it." Night fell, and the room was quiet except for the soft hum of the alien devices. Adrian lay on his cot, staring at the ceiling. He thought about Lyra, the city, and the challenges ahead. Humanity had a reputation in the galaxy for being clever, resourceful, and sometimes reckless. Here, on Erendor 7, it seemed that those qualities were exactly what they needed. He realized something important. Survival was not just about strength or technology. It was about cooperation, creativity, and courage. Humans had something unique, the ability to adapt, to take risks, to find solutions in impossible situations. And as he watched Lyra's calm presence beside the glowing bed, he knew this mission was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more chances to prove humanity's worth, and more opportunities to show Lyra that humans were unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. Adrian drifted into sleep, imagining the adventures ahead. Sharing a room, sharing ideas, and sharing a mission. It was a small beginning, but it held the promise of something much larger. Humans were survivors, explorers, and problem solvers. And here, in the heart of an alien world, that truth would shine brighter than any star. The sun rose over Erendor 7, casting long streaks of light across the crystalline towers. Captain Adrian Cole awoke to the soft hum of the city, the faint glow from Lyra's floating panels illuminating the small room. Today, the mission promised to be more difficult. When Adrian entered the main chamber, Lyra was already coordinating the crew. The humans and aliens were working side by side, but the tension in the room was noticeable. A critical habitat shield, designed to protect the settlement from sudden storms, had begun showing instability. "This is serious," Lyra said, her body color shifting to a vivid orange, a sign of concern. "If the shield fails, the city could sustain damage." Adrian studied the readings. The shield's energy nodes were scattered across the crystalline towers, and the fluctuations were unpredictable. "Looks like a job for improvisation," he said softly, adjusting his human multi-tool. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Improvisation is risky." Adrian smiled. "Sometimes risk is necessary, especially when survival depends on it." They set off across the city on a transport hover, moving through shimmering corridors of light. The aliens navigated effortlessly, floating through the air, while Adrian relied on handholds and quick calculations to keep pace. Despite the differences, he admired their grace and precision. At the first energy node, the problem was immediately apparent. A series of conduits had misaligned, causing energy to leak. Adrian knelt and examined the crystalline panels. "We can reroute the flow temporarily," he said. "I have an idea." Lyra observed carefully. "Explain." Adrian connected a portable energy regulator to the node, something humans would normally use on Earth's power grids. "This will stabilize the node for a short time while you realign the conduits precisely." Lyra considered it, then nodded. "Efficient. Let's proceed." Working together, they stabilized the first node. The energy flow smoothed and the hum of the city normalized briefly. "Not bad," Lyra admitted. "You humans adapt quickly." Adrian grinned. "It's what we do. We make do. We find solutions." They moved to the next node, but this time the situation was worse. A minor tremor had loosened several nodes simultaneously. Sparks flew as energy arcs danced across the conduits. Adrian ducked instinctively, pulling out his regulator. Lyra adjusted her panels, working with a precision that humans could barely match. "Careful," Adrian warned. "This one is unstable." "We have no choice," Lyra said. "If we fail, the shield could collapse." Adrian placed his regulator and a small blue light flashed, stabilizing the energy momentarily. Lyra's hands moved in a blur, manipulating the conduits with exact timing. Sparks fizzled out, and the node glowed steady. Adrian let out a small sigh of relief. "You humans are fearless," Lyra said quietly. "Even in dangerous situations, you act decisively." Adrian shrugged modestly. "We survive. Sometimes courage is the only option." They continued across the city, node by node. With each challenge, Lyra observed human ingenuity in action. Adrian used tools in ways the aliens had not considered. He improvised makeshift conduits, rerouted energy flows creatively, and even used his own body as a temporary stabilizer, grounding an unstable node with careful precision. By mid-afternoon, the most dangerous nodes were secured. But the final node was located high above the city, exposed to the elements. A sudden storm approached, with winds strong enough to sway the crystalline towers. Rain-like particles of light began falling, making the platform slippery and dangerous. "This will be difficult," Lyra said, her color shifting to a pale yellow, a sign of anxiety. "The energy could overload at any moment." Adrian looked at the storm, then at the node. "Difficult is our specialty," he said. "Let's do it." They ascended to the top of the tower, Lyra floating gracefully and Adrian clinging to handholds. The wind howled, and lightning-like energy arcs danced across the tower. Adrian felt the thrill of danger, his human instinct driving him forward despite fear. At the node, the energy was wild, leaping in unpredictable patterns. Adrian placed his regulator, stabilizing part of the flow, while Lyra adjusted the conduits with meticulous care. Sparks danced dangerously close, but Adrian remained calm, relying on his intuition and experience. "You humans are reckless," Lyra said, though there was no accusation in her tone, only acknowledgement. "And you aliens are precise," Adrian replied. "Together, we're unstoppable." Finally, after tense moments, the last node stabilized. The storm still raged, but the shield held firm. Adrian and Lyra floated back down to the main chamber, exhausted but triumphant. The other aliens observed them with a mixture of awe and curiosity. "You succeeded," Lyra said softly, her color shifting to a calm blue. "Neither species could have done this alone." Adrian smiled. "Teamwork, intuition, adaptation, that's humans." For the first time, Lyra seemed genuinely impressed. She allowed a faint smile as they returned to their shared room. The glowing bed, once a symbol of strict order, now felt like a place of camaraderie. That evening, they reviewed the events of the day. Adrian demonstrated some human techniques, showing how small tools and clever thinking could solve problems without complex technology. Lyra observed carefully, asking questions and slowly adopting some of the methods. "You humans have something unusual," she said finally. "Not strength, not speed, but creativity." Adrian leaned back on his cot. "Exactly, we adapt, we improvise, we make things work." Lyra's color shifted to a warm green, a subtle sign of approval. "Perhaps this is why your species survives in many environments." Adrian chuckled. "And why we explore. Curiosity, courage, adaptability, that's us." A sudden alert interrupted their conversation. The habitat's sensors detected a minor structural shift in one of the towers. Adrian and Lyra rushed to the site. A small panel had loosened, threatening the integrity of the tower. Humans would have used brute force. Lyra would have calculated precise movements. Together, they used a combination of human improvisation and alien precision, securing the panel before any damage occurred. The other aliens watched in silence. Adrian noticed their eyes shifting colors, a sign of growing respect and curiosity. Humans, they seemed to realize, were not just explorers, they were problem solvers, thinkers, and collaborators. Back in their room, Adrian and Lyra finally allowed themselves a moment of rest. Adrian lay on his cot, exhausted but satisfied. Lyra adjusted a floating panel beside the glowing bed, her movements calm but deliberate. "You humans are unpredictable," she said quietly. "And you aliens are remarkable," Adrian replied. "Together we make a great team." Lyra's eyes softened. "Perhaps shared challenges are beneficial." Adrian smiled. "I think so. Humans learn by doing and by helping, and we make friends along the way." The night passed quietly, with the storm outside subsiding and the city glowing softly. Adrian realized that human strength was not just in technology or skill, it was in courage, creativity, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Lyra, once wary and rigid, was beginning to understand this. And in the small shared room, the glowing bed had become more than a place to sleep. It was a symbol of collaboration, trust, and the promise of what humans could achieve when faced with the unknown. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and perhaps even more surprises. But Adrian felt ready. Humans were explorers, problem solvers, and survivors. And here, on a distant alien world, their true nature was beginning to shine. The next morning, the crystalline city sparkled under the soft light of Urindor 7's sun. Adrian awoke early, as was his habit, and stretched on his small cot. Across the glowing bed, Lyra floated in a calm, meditative posture, her body color shifting between soft blues and gentle greens, a sign of focus and reflection. Adrian had grown used to these subtle color shifts. Each one told him something about Lyra's mood, intent, or thoughts. Humans did not communicate through colors, but they adapted quickly. Adrian smiled to himself, realizing how much he had already learned about this alien species simply by observation. "Morning," he said softly. Lyra opened her eyes and tilted her head. "Humans are persistent," she observed. Adrian grinned. "That's one of our better traits. Persistence keeps us alive and moving forward." Lyra's color shifted to a thoughtful green. "Perhaps it is useful. I am beginning to understand human nature slowly." Adrian chuckled. "Slowly is fine. I have patience, and humans are patient too in their own way." Their first task of the day was to explore a nearby alien laboratory. The mission was simple in description. Learn more about Urindor 7 energy systems and the way the aliens managed their advanced technology. In reality, it was a test of cooperation and trust. Adrian had discovered that Lyra was cautious, meticulous, and wary of human improvisation, but she also respected results. As they entered the laboratory, a complex web of floating machines and holographic panels stretched before them. Energy flows ran visibly through transparent conduits, pulsing in rhythm with the city's needs. Adrian's eyes widened. "This is incredible. It's like the city itself is alive." Lyra nodded. "The city responds to the energy network. Every conduit, every node, every pulse, it is connected. Balance is necessary." Adrian studied the panels. "Balance and flexibility. I think humans can learn something from this." Lyra glanced at him. "Humans are rigid. You adapt, but only when necessary. Efficiency is different for you." "Maybe so," Adrian admitted. "But humans innovate. We take what we see and make it better, or at least different. Sometimes that's enough to survive." Lyra's color shifted to a soft yellow, a subtle sign of consideration. She gestured for him to follow her to a section of the laboratory where the energy pulses were unstable. "Observe," she instructed. Adrian watched as Lyra manipulated a series of controls with precise gestures, adjusting the flow of energy. Sparks of light danced in midair, forming patterns he had never seen before. Then, as she focused, Adrian noticed a small misalignment that she had overlooked. "May I try?" he asked cautiously. Lyra's head tilted. "You may attempt, but caution is required." Adrian approached the unstable node, analyzing it carefully. Using his human intuition, he adjusted a small panel and rerouted the energy temporarily. The pulse stabilized, the sparks dimming to a calm glow. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "You corrected it." "Without prior knowledge. Humans improvise," Adrian said simply. "We learn by doing. Sometimes experience is our guide, not instruction manuals." Her color shifted to a pale green, a subtle sign of admiration. "Perhaps humans are not only adaptable but insightful." Adrian smiled. "Exactly, and together we make a stronger team." The day continued with exploration and collaboration. Lyra explained the function of various devices and panels, while Adrian shared human approaches to problem solving. They discovered that combining precise alien calculations with human improvisation often produced better results than either species alone. During a break, they returned to their shared room. The glowing bed was quiet, and the soft hum of the alien devices filled the space. Adrian unpacked a small human notebook filled with sketches and observations from the mission. Lyra floated beside him, curious. "You record information differently," she noted. "Humans write, draw, and diagram," Adrian explained. "It helps us remember, analyze, and improve." Lyra examined the notebook, her color shifting from curiosity to soft blue. "Efficient, insightful. Humans have many methods." Adrian leaned back on his cot. "And humans share knowledge. That's how we survive and thrive, by teaching and learning from each other." Lyra considered this. Perhaps sharing knowledge is another human strength. Their moment of quiet reflection was interrupted by a sudden alarm. The city's sensors detected an unstable energy field in a remote tower. Adrian and Lyra quickly gathered their tools and moved to the site. The field was wild and unpredictable, glowing with energy that seemed almost alive. Adrian's heart raced, not from fear, but from anticipation. Humans thrived in challenges. "This is dangerous," Lyra said, her color shifting to vivid orange. "If the energy field collapses, the tower could be destroyed." Adrian examined the field. "We can stabilize it, but we'll need to combine your precision and my improvisation." Lyra nodded. "Proceed carefully." Working together, they devised a plan. Lyra would manipulate the energy conduits with exact timing, while Adrian applied a portable regulator to redirect the field. Sparks danced dangerously close, but Adrian remained calm, using his intuition to anticipate shifts. Minutes passed in tense silence. The field pulsed violently, then gradually began to stabilize. Finally, the energy calmed and the tower glowed steadily. Adrian and Lyra stepped back, exhausted but triumphant. "You humans are remarkable," Lyra said softly. "Even when unprepared, you find solutions," Adrian smiled. "And you aliens are amazing. Precision, calculation, control, together we make a great team." As they returned to their room, Adrian realized something important. Human strength was not just in technology or intelligence. It was in creativity, courage, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Lyra, once cautious and rigid, was beginning to see this truth. That night, they sat together beside the glowing bed, reviewing the day's events. Adrian shared sketches and diagrams, explaining human problem-solving methods. Lyra listened intently, asking questions and making notes on her own holographic panels. "You humans are unpredictable," Lyra said finally. "And you aliens are precise," Adrian replied. "Together we are stronger than either species alone." Lyra's color shifted to soft green, a subtle sign of approval. "Perhaps mutual understanding is key. Efficiency and creativity combined." Adrian grinned. "Exactly, and humans also learn from mistakes. That's how we get better." They spent the rest of the night sharing knowledge, comparing methods, and planning for future missions. The small glowing bed had become more than a place to rest. It was a symbol of collaboration, trust, and mutual respect. Adrian realized that their shared experiences were not just about surviving challenges. They were about building understanding between species. Humans were explorers, problem solvers, and survivors. And here, on Erendor 7, their true potential was beginning to shine. The day ended with quiet reflection. Outside, the city glowed softly under the alien moon. Inside the small room, two very different beings sat together, learning from each other, teaching and finding common ground. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove humanity's worth. But for now, Adrian and Lyra simply existed in the quiet moment, sharing knowledge, understanding, and the unspoken bond that had begun to form between them. Humans were not just survivors, they were thinkers, learners, and collaborators. And in this distant world, Lyra was beginning to see the truth of that statement. For the first time, Adrian felt that their mission was not just about exploration or survival, it was about connection. And in that small, shared room, beside the glowing bed, a bridge between two species was quietly forming. The morning light of Erendor 7 shimmered across the crystalline city like a prism, casting long reflections on every surface. Captain Adrian Cole awoke in his small cot, stretching his limbs. Across the glowing bed, Lyra hovered quietly, observing a series of floating energy displays. She had grown used to his presence, and in return, Adrian had learned to read her subtle shifts in color and posture. Today was different. Sensors had detected a massive energy anomaly outside the city, a disturbance that threatened to disrupt the habitat's stability and possibly damage the surrounding environment. It was a test that would push both humans and aliens to their limits. "This is serious," Lyra said as they prepared to leave their room. Her color shifted to vivid orange, indicating concern. If the anomaly is not contained, it could destabilize the entire network. Adrian examined the readings. "Looks like a job for teamwork. And maybe some human ingenuity." He grinned, knowing that humans thrived under pressure. They arrived at the source of the anomaly, a colossal energy vortex swirling above a distant plateau. Sparks of light flickered around its edges, and the wind of pure energy whipped through the area, making the floating platforms unstable. The alien engineers hovered nearby, attempting to stabilize the vortex with traditional methods, but the readings were chaotic and unpredictable. "This is unlike anything we've encountered," one alien engineer said. "Even our calculations are failing." Adrian's eyes scanned the vortex. "That's why humans are useful. We think differently, we improvise. Let's try combining your precision with my adaptability." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "You propose improvisation?" "Yes," Adrian said. "We follow your methods where precision is needed, and I'll use human techniques to handle the unpredictable parts." Lyra considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Very well, but caution is paramount." The first step was to stabilize the vortex's outer edge. Lyra manipulated the conduits with perfect timing, her movements fluid and controlled. Adrian, meanwhile, set up a portable energy regulator and a series of human-devised stabilization tools. Sparks of energy flew dangerously close, but Adrian's steady hands guided the devices with intuition rather than calculation. "Be careful," Lyra warned. "One mistake could be catastrophic." Adrian adjusted a regulator, rerouting the energy flow. The vortex's outer edges calmed slightly, and the alien engineers looked on in amazement. "Your methods work," one said quietly. Adrian nodded. "Humans are resourceful. We find solutions when others see only problems." The next phase was trickier. The heart of the vortex was unstable, and traditional alien methods alone could not contain it. Adrian floated closer. Using a human energy harness, he had designed to anchor himself safely while manipulating the field. Sparks danced all around him, but his focus remained sharp. "Adrian, the field is dangerous," Lyra called. "I know," he replied calmly, But if we don't act now, the city could be affected. Using a combination of human improvisation and alien precision, they worked together. Adrian applied his portable regulators in sequence, anticipating fluctuations before they occurred. Lyra adjusted the conduits with meticulous care, ensuring the energy flow remained within safe limits. Slowly, the vortex began to stabilize. Minutes felt like hours. The wind of pure energy howled, but their synchronized efforts began to pay off. Sparks dimmed, the vortex pulsed less violently, and finally the energy began to settle. The city and surrounding environment were safe. "You humans are remarkable," Lyra said softly, her color shifting to calm green. "Even in situations beyond calculation, you find solutions." Adrian smiled, though he was exhausted. "And you aliens are incredible. Precision, patience, control. Together, we're unstoppable." The alien engineers floated closer, their expressions shifting from doubt to awe. "The humans, they are not reckless," one said. "They are clever, adaptive, a new form of intelligence." Adrian realized in that moment that humanity's reputation as explorers and problem solvers was not just survival. It was proof that humans could thrive where others failed. Their curiosity, courage, and ingenuity were more than traits, they were a force. As the sun began to set, Adrian and Lyra returned to their shared room. The glowing bed, once a symbol of constraint, now felt like a place of accomplishment and reflection. They both sat quietly, reviewing the day's events. "You humans are unlike any species I have encountered," Lyra said finally. "Not only do you survive, but you adapt. You innovate, you think beyond limits." Adrian nodded. "That's what we do. Curiosity drives us. We don't just face challenges, we embrace them. And we grow stronger for it." Lyra's color shifted to soft green, a sign of respect and consideration. "Perhaps this is why humanity thrives, not because of strength or speed, but because of the mind and spirit." Adrian leaned back, smiling. "Exactly. Humans survive not by being perfect, but by being flexible, creative, and persistent. We learn, we adapt, we improve." The following morning, the human crew received official recognition from the Alien Council. The aliens had observed humans' actions during the energy anomaly, noting their unique ability to improvise and collaborate. The council praised their courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Adrian and his team were lauded as ambassadors of humanity, showing the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. Lyra accompanied Adrian to the council chamber. "You have proven yourself," she said quietly. "Human ingenuity, it is extraordinary." Adrian smiled. "We prove ourselves every day, that's what humans do." During the council session, Lyra spoke of the shared experience. "Humans are unpredictable yet adaptable. They combine creativity with courage. Alone, neither species could have succeeded. Together, we witness a new form of cooperation, a new understanding." The council members nodded in agreement, and Adrian felt a deep sense of pride, not for himself alone, but for humanity. Humans had survived, adapted, and thrived once again. After the session, Adrian and Lyra returned to their shared room. For a moment, they simply sat together in silence, reflecting on the journey. The glowing bed, once a symbol of constraint, now represented unity, trust, and mutual respect. "You humans are more than I imagined," Lyra said softly. "And you aliens are more incredible than I imagined," Adrian replied. "Together, we can accomplish anything." The next day, the humans prepared to depart. Their mission on Urindor 7 had been a success, thanks not only to technology and strategy, but to creativity, courage, and cooperation. Adrian and Lyra stood together on the observation deck of the starship, looking out at the crystalline city. "You humans leave, but the impression remains," Lyra said, her colors shifting gently. "Your ingenuity, your spirit, it is unforgettable." Adrian placed a hand on the railing. "And your precision, your focus, and your knowledge will guide us. Humanity learns from every world we visit." Lyra tilted her head, a faint smile forming. Perhaps the galaxy is ready to see humans in their true form, not just as explorers but as creators, problem solvers, and collaborators. Adrian nodded. That's the hope. Humans adapt, innovate, and survive, and we can share that with everyone, alien and human alike. As the aurora lifted off, ascending through the atmosphere, the city below shimmered like a jewel. Adrian watched the crystalline towers, the flowing energy, and the beings who had once been wary but now respected humanity's potential. He felt proud, not just for himself, but for his species. The journey ahead was long, filled with unknown worlds and new challenges. But Adrian knew that humans would continue to thrive, to explore, and to surprise the galaxy with their ingenuity. In the small room aboard the ship, the memory of the glowing bed remained, a reminder of collaboration, trust, and the extraordinary results that come when humans and others work together. Adrian smiled to himself. Humanity had shown its true nature, adaptable, clever, courageous, and always ready to face the unknown. And somewhere in the stars, Lyra would remember not just the human solutions, but their spirit. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and mysteries, but humans were ready. They would continue to explore, to learn, and to prove that no matter the obstacle, humanity's ingenuity could overcome it. As the aurora disappeared into the depths of space, Adrian leaned back, confident and proud. Humanity had been tested, and humanity had succeeded. The adventure was only the beginning, but the message was clear. Humans were a force to be reckoned with, not just for their strength or technology, but for their mind, their spirit, and their unwavering will to adapt and thrive. And somewhere, on a distant world of crystal and light, an alien named Lyra watched the stars, knowing that humans were extraordinary in ways the galaxy had never seen before.